I'm truly honored for today, this episode. Brad, you're someone that myself and a lot of people in the Austin community look up to. Just the way you carry yourself, the way you handle interactions. You're always just super present. You work super hard. And from someone that moved to Austin looking for opportunity and looking for good people to be around, like this is just what it's all about. Just finding people that want to see you win, help you win, but are just genuinely nice people. So super excited to have you here today.
Thank you, man. I'll say this, that kind of made me, that makes me I'm taken aback is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, I appreciate the kind introduction. And so I feel lucky to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate that.
I want to start off with a very serious question.
Okay.
You said you're an open book. So
Yeah.
I'm going to take advantage of that.
Let's go.
So, looking at you,
Yeah.
I just want to know, how can I become handsome like you?
Ah, come on, man. You threw me off. I don't, and now I know you're full of it. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Now I know where this podcast is going.
Yeah.
No, but come on, buddy. First of all, you're doing just fine, Matt, and I'll take that as a compliment. It's tough trying to keep up with you cool kids, man, and so... but I do appreciate that very much, man, and right back at you.
We're keeping you young and energetic, right?
Yeah, well, you are. Yes, you are. I mean, you can't help it. You walk through the doors of Collective, man, and see people like you getting after it. And
Yeah.
I mean, men and women. And I'm telling you, man, you've got to raise the bar. And so just to keep up. So, again, thank you for the compliment, but I'm going to throw it right back at you, buddy.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
You've recently stepped into social media
Yes,
on
sir.
Instagram, and like one thing you are branding around is like fit over 50.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're in incredible shape. You work out hard. Like, what's your secret? Because a lot of people, like growing up, you think about like 30s, 40s, 50s, like, oh, that person's old.
Sure,
right?
sure,
Like,
yeah.
You're worried about like knee surgeries, not getting the gym.
I'm going to try not to take offense to that. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding. Yeah, I'll tell you. So for most of my adult life, I've tried to stay in shape, and it's always been a priority. Now, granted, when I was first getting into business and we worked so much, I mean, you kind of have to focus on certain things, and fitness may have fallen by the wayside, whatever. But anyway, it's always been, like I said, a priority. And so, and at 50 or at 51, I can tell you I truly feel better than I ever have. And so the secret is consistency and discipline. There's no other secret. There's nothing, and so I eat as clean as can be. I'm in the gym once, if not twice a day. And I prioritize that over literally anything in my life right now. And I got to tell you, man, it feels really good internally.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, ego left the room a long time ago. I will admit, in college, I worked out to look good on the beach, right?
Oh,
I mean, I
sure.
think we all do.
Yeah.
But I say this all the time. I think aesthetics is a really cool byproduct of just being disciplined and feeling good internally.
Yeah.
And, buddy, I feel better than I ever have. And so if I can inspire people my age especially to get off the couch, I want to do that because, again, it just feels good.
Yeah.
So thank you again, man.
Of course.
Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
One thing that most people know you for is being on The Bachelor.
Yes, sir.
Twice,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So let's unpack that story.
Let's
'cause
do it.
If people are just hearing you for the first time,
Sure.
or like they want to hear that, like, what was that life like?
Okay.
And walk us through both times, because you coin yourself as a 2-time Bachelor failure. So, what went down?
Yeah, man, I'll tell you. And let me say, The Bachelor was a lot like this little foray into social media, and I'll tell you why. I'm shy to a fault, believe it or not, and I'm introverted to a fault. It doesn't show because I practice trying to be extroverted, and I love having conversations with people. I really do. But that doesn't change internally. I'm just inherently shy. And frankly, inherently, uber private. Again, why would I go on television, and why the hell would I go on social media after all this, these many years of hiatus, so to speak? But anyway, so The Bachelor kind of fell into my lap. My brother and I were at a restaurant, and it was long before that, the guys went on The Bachelorette, and they kind of recycled those guys. And a girl just came up and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, this is going to sound crazy. We're upstairs casting for the girls on The Bachelor. Have you heard of the show?" "I have." And she said, "Well, we don't have the lead yet. Would you be interested?" And I started dying laughing, Matt. I think you know me kind of well, my sense of humor. I mean, and I started dying laughing, and I told her, hell no. And very, very politely,
Right,
you know.
right.
And she said, well, do me a favor. Give me your number. We can be very convincing. And, of course, they can. And then that was a Sunday. That Tuesday, I was flying out to L.A.
Wow.
And met the president of ABC. Let me tell you, man, it was a cool experience only because I've never had aspirations to be on TV. I mean, that just wasn't my gig, right? And again, I like to fly under the radar. It doesn't show, but I promise I mean that. And so anyway, the rest is kind of history. The experience, you know, it was good and bad. My anonymity went away like that. I mean, gone. And, you know, the first round, historically or infamously, I should say, I didn't choose anybody, and the court of public opinion, I got beat up bad. And so I developed really thick skin. I do care what people think of me. And so that was a challenge. But they did ask me back, and whenever they did, I thought, okay, I still believe in the show, believe it or not. I think that you can meet the person of your dreams in any setting, so why not give it a shot, you know? And so went on and met Emily Maynard.
Yep.
And I took a leap of faith, and I thought it was going to work out, but it's different, man. You get back home, and we were just so scrutinized, and I got a little taste of what a celebrity is. And by that, I mean, it's not a good thing, meaning an actual celebrity. We couldn't go anywhere, literally anywhere, without people hounding us. I mean, I lived in a high-rise at the time. I've told this story before, and photographers would be at the bottom, like any time, and especially if they caught wind she was in town. And so it's a little overwhelming. Or you'll be in the checkout line at Whole Foods, true story, this happened, and I see my face on Us Weekly and said something about cheating. Emily calls me the next day. I've never cheated on a woman in my entire life. They saw my twin brother with his wife at a restaurant. And his wife is a blonde, Emily was a blonde. They just thought, okay, well, this guy's running around. And so you have to kind of bat down these rumors, and it just drives this inevitable wedge in that relationship. And so, but anyway, we're all better now. Obviously it didn't work out, but I feel fortunate to have been chosen, so to speak. And, you know, a few regrets, but it is what it is, man. But it was a good time. It was a really good time, but I'm also glad it's over.
Yeah,
you know,
I bet.
Yes, sir. Very glad it's over.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage that first time to step on and just be open to the experience and say, this is not for me.
Yes.
I'm not going to find the right person. I'm going to step away, and knowing you're going to deal with a lot of hate, right?
Yeah, man.
So you're embracing that that pressure from society, from the external.
Sure.
You could have easily just said, like, I'm going to put up with this and pick someone just to make it look right.
Sure.
But you stood true to like what you truly wanted. Like, what do you want to spread to people like dating today, of like finding the right person and staying true to your morals and your values and not just giving in because other people say you should?
Well, okay, so I'm going to start with a joke. That's an excellent question, okay? But I'm going to start with a joke. Anyone that takes dating advice from me you're out of luck, man. I mean, you're just out of luck. I don't know what to tell you. And I mean, that's been proven, unfortunately. But on a serious note, man, you know, it's the old cliche saying, just be yourself and stay true to yourself. And I had the opportunity. I was just on Chris Harrison's podcast, the host of The Bachelor. And I'd never been able to talk about this before, but I was able to talk about it with him, and I'm going to tell you what I'm getting at. When I said I wasn't going to pick anybody, the producers actually, I can't make this up, opened up their checkbook and said, hey, basically, name the price. You kind of have to pick somebody. I wouldn't. And I'm so proud of that. I've never been able to say that because, you know, you're under contract and stuff, but now I can. Anyway, the reason I'm so proud of that is I really do live by just be yourself, man. And because, you know, you can meet a man or a woman, and if a woman doesn't like who I truly am, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I mean, maybe in my younger days and my more insecure days, I would have questioned myself. It just means we're not meant to be. You know what I mean? And so, And so why would you want to be with somebody that wants you to change, or that you're having to put up a facade on a daily basis to please? You know, that's not a real relationship. And so the biggest piece of advice, if you ever want to listen, and is just be very confident in who you are, and you'll find that right person. I promise you that, man. You'll find that right person.
Yeah.
So, and you know, and it's a blissful thing when you kind of let go of any kind of idea of who you should be, and you look in the mirror and you think, yeah, you know, I'm pretty pleased with myself. Of course, we can all improve, but you want a partner that loves you exactly for who you are. At least I do. And so, cliche, but it's so true. Be yourself, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just be yourself, and I promise it'll work out.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Was The Bachelor before, during, or after your bar experience?
That's a good question too. Was during, and trust me, man, I don't think they would have chosen a guy. So before the bars, I was in the oil fields, right? And one, they never would have met me, but I don't think they would have chosen this guy with dirt and mud all over his face and Red Wing boots and holes in his jeans. And, you know, I didn't even have time to talk to producers. I was working all day. But, no, we had at the time, I think we had 4 venues, and humbly speaking, they were really successful. We were knee deep in the bars. You know, frankly, to be honest, I kind of had to think twice about going on the show. There's a lot of good that can come from the show, any exposure. But there's also, man, I was worried about, okay, will this interrupt our trajectory? And when I say our, my business partners and I, would it be a good or a bad thing? Because we were laser focused, man. I mean, laser focused. And so, and when I said earlier I never had aspirations to be on television, I meant that. And so I had to really think about, am I doing the right thing? And had a very long conversation with my partners. Am I doing anything to jeopardize our future? I mean, let's talk openly, because those guys are my best friends, my family. And so anyway, and my priority. So, and they were like, what are you talking about? Get your butt up there and let's go, man. Let's go. And so I'm glad they agreed to, quote unquote, allow me to do that, because we hold each other accountable, but it worked out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, your journey's like, seems like the dream for most people in their early 20s, 30s. Like, they step into a career, and then they have a goal to start something, build something, be an entrepreneur. Most don't take that step.
Right.
You know, you went from working in the oil industry to opening and running bars and finding success there. What was that like? What planted the seed to, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to step out of what I'm currently doing and take a chance on myself?
I'll tell you, and I give all the credit, it was my twin brother. And, you know, I would highly suggest finding somebody, especially in your 20s, that you look up to, that you admire. Call him or her a mentor, a colleague, whatever you want to do. But, you know, my twin brother, thank God above, is truly, in my opinion, one of the best in that industry, in hospitality. He had talked about being in hospitality since we were kids, and not for, and I want to make this clear, it wasn't for chasing girls. It wasn't for the week-long parties at the bar. None of that. It was, no, man, we love serving people. We love the hospitality aspect of this. I think we can do this, but this is going to be a business. And so anyway, he'd talked to me and said, and I was 27 at the time when I left the oil fields and started working at the door and bartending at another guy's bar, right? And he had said, we have to start from the bottom. But to answer your question, man, what was it like? It was exciting. It was terrifying. You know, oil fields is hard work, but it's a good job, man. And it's a good, steady paying job. And so, I mean, a really good job. And frankly, I felt fulfilled by it. But it would have been a dream, and it was a dream come true to work with my brother. And so, but again, I want to make this clear. He said, no, man, we have to start from the bottom, which we didn't have a choice. We didn't have any money. But anyway, so I followed his lead, and heck yes, it was scary. I remember calling my girlfriend at the time and my mother at the time, and telling them both, I'm going to quit my job and start bartending. And both of them, especially my girlfriend, if you can imagine, you know, it's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And thank God it worked out, Matt. And you know, but biggest piece of advice again is, you know, find someone that you want to emulate or admire, something like that, and listen to the advice. And I'm just so fortunate that that was my twin brother. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, man.
One thing I hear from you is when you say starting from the bottom,
Yes.
the ego is just taken out of it.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That's very rare today. I would
Yes.
say most people, when they want to get into a career or something, they're thinking, I'm going straight to the top.
Sure.
And I'm not going to take out the trash because that's below me,
Yeah.
right? They're not going to do the small things to work their way up or not even consider the entry-level position, knowing it could lead to something bigger.
Yeah.
You know, they just want to leapfrog all of that.
Sure.
Because they think they're worthy.
Yes.
Of it. For you, like, you're working the door and then you
Sure.
start working up and up and up. What do you say to that? Like, why is that so important to take a step back, say, I need to get as much experience as possible. I need to start building this and understand every single aspect that goes into this bar.
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, that's such a good point. And let me start this by saying ego can kill you in every facet of life. Relationships, what we've just talked about, work, your own personal advancement. And for whatever reason, I feel lucky that I'm blessed. I have literally zero ego. You know what I mean? I mean, none. And I didn't have to practice to remove that, and I'm very thankful for that. But as far as starting from the bottom, you know, I knew at one time we were going to own our own businesses, and we would have employees, right? And who I consider colleagues as opposed to employees. So I'm going to refer to them as colleagues. I didn't want any of our colleagues to see me asking them or hear me asking them to do something that I haven't done or wouldn't do right then.
Yeah.
And so we were in the hospitality business, Matt, for 23 or 24 years. 18 of those years, we were still bartending. We were still bussing tables. We at one time owned 5 venues at a time, and each of us would run one, and we'd have to oversee some of the operations, but I'd be behind the bar trying to help out our colleagues, right? And I mean, that's just how you do it. But I also firmly believe, no matter what your business is, to immerse yourself in that business, know your product, if you're selling a product, or, you know, the atmosphere. I'm so concerned with controlling and providing a good ambiance and atmosphere for our customers. So why wouldn't I be in it 7 days a week, right? Yeah. Why wouldn't I be right there beside the door guy, the guy bussing the tables, the guy stocking the, whatever. And I think people, you know, and I said this the other day, I know people, I think, appreciate that. Because of nothing else, they at least see us putting our best foot forward. We failed miserably at times, you know, but I knew in my heart that we were providing the best ambiance and atmosphere that we knew how to provide because I was right there in it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, no ego at all, none. And you're right. And I don't want to ramble. I'll make this quick. You're right about, I think these days, ego is ever present, and you know, it's not about starting a business and posting it on Instagram to look cool. It's not about that, man. Maybe after you win the day with your business thriving, then you can post, right? Yeah. But I don't know, man. I like to roll up my sleeves and get dirty and work, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That. Yeah, man.
It earns a lot of respect too.
Thank you.
Like, if I'm working for someone like you and there's a problem in that bar,
yes, sir,
in the gym, any environment we're in, and I just see Brad walking over it, like, I don't care, you know?
Yeah, sure.
It's hard for me to do it too.
Sure.
You know, like that's what leadership's all about, is leading by example. It's not just saying, do this, do that, and then you're just going to sit down all day.
Sure.
Right? Or not show up.
Right.
I think another good point is you saying, I'm going to be there 7 days a week. That builds culture.
Absolutely.
Like, when you brought that up, I thought about the show Undercover Boss.
Yeah.
And then they go in and they see all these issues. Well, part of that is because there's no leadership there.
Right.
The culture is lost. All these values and the vision, employees don't even know what's going on. They're just showing up and doing the day-to-day. They're losing sight of like actually what's important. That's
such an intuitive statement. And culture to me is the most important part of a business. Culture amongst your employees, your colleagues, right? It really is. It's vital. Your employees are the lifeline of any business, right? When employees don't feel seen or heard, then things go awry. But the exact opposite. When they feel seen and heard, I think any business just thrives. And I'm not talking about, it doesn't have to be financially. You're just doing what you set out to do because your team actually gives a damn. Excuse the language, you know? And so they actually care about you as an individual and cares about the success of the business. And so humbly speaking, I know we had an amazing culture amongst, at one time we had close to 200 employees, which I'm really proud of that. And every single one of those employees was in it for his or her fellow colleague and us. And it felt really good, Matt. And so, yeah, you hit the nail on the head with culture, man.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
When people look at your resume from afar,
yeah,
like they see the bars, the Bachelor, like, this is a fun life. It's success. It's great,
Yeah.
And they're just looking at all the good aspects.
Sure.
And like, you'll be raw and authentic. You already were, saying like the Bachelor wasn't what you expected.
Sure.
There weren't things that went the right way or what I wanted to happen.
Yeah.
Bars, obviously, it's not easy. Entrepreneurship is never going to go to plan.
Right.
What are some failures that happened in your 20s and 30s, that time frame, that most people need to be more mindful of?
Another great question. And I'll tell you, man, first of all, I'll say this. Being an entrepreneur is a really, really, really difficult life. I mean, really difficult, because you're going to have so many highs and lows. You're going to be flush at one time, and you're going to be completely cash strapped at the next. And you're going to feel rested, and then you're going to think that you haven't slept 2 hours in a week, But anyway, as far as failures, man, a lot of personal relationships kind of just imploded because of so much time spent in the bar. So that's a huge sacrifice. Failure and sacrifice to me kind of go hand in hand a little bit, because if you sacrifice one thing that you truly love, that can be considered a failure, But we had, as far as the bars go, we had a pretty good track record, right, of success. The very last bar that we ever tried to open was very recent, and it was a massive, catastrophic failure. And it kind of reminded me about how difficult entrepreneurship can be. But anyway, as far as 20s and 30s, I'm just going to go back to that. I don't want to talk like an old man. Again, a failure could be considered, I woke up one day and my mom's calling me like, where are you? I mean, what is going on? And meaning your family kind of falls by the wayside. And like I said, personal relationships. And to me, that was a failure. And maybe I needed to learn balance, but that's a hard thing to try to find when you're just trying to grind, man.
Yeah.
And so trying to do your own thing is really rough. And I don't know what else to say. It's jam-packed with failure. Yeah, and just develop a thick skin and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a desire to go back to working in oil? Like saying like, this is hard. I know I have a great career that I can just fall back on and just go back to getting my salary, going to work every day. Everything's kind of in place.
You mean during the time, 20s and 30s coming up?
Yeah, like when you're starting the bars and struggling with, that whole experience.
Yes, sir. No. And I can emphatically say that, and I'll tell you why. One, I gave my twin brother and my partners my word that I was in it with them, period. And then two, I'm really fortunate because, and this is another thing I would suggest, we just established being an entrepreneur is difficult. Being an entrepreneur alone, I can't fathom. You know what I mean? And I had the luxury of doing it with 3 other people, Jason Carrier, my little brother Wes, and my twin brother Chad. And we were all like-minded, very similar people. We all came from nothing. So, Matt, we were living the dream, even though I tell this story all the time. The first entire year of our first bar, we didn't take a single salary check.
Wow.
We just didn't take a single check. So what we did, we would rotate positions. I'd work the door, earn tips, and maybe sometimes behind the bar, and then we lived off tips, And so the reason being, 1, we wanted the company to become solvent. 2, we didn't really know anything else, and so tips were enough. We ate.
Yeah.
We ate great. And we had this business model. We wanted to buy one business per year in perpetuity, right? And stack them up, so to speak. And that worked until we got so, and I say it humbly, kind of big that we just couldn't do it financially. Man, properties became more expensive and all of that. And we didn't want to get investors. We just wanted to bootstrap it, And so, which I'm also proud of. But so anyway, back to that, having those guys and looking them in the eye and having them say, it's okay. It's okay. We might be eating ramen noodles tonight, but today's a new day. And no way would I walk out on those guys. So coming up, absolutely not. And we had such a fire, man. I mean, a fire. So you couldn't tell me we weren't going to succeed. You just couldn't tell me. Even when we were dead broke. I mean, there were times, I kid you not, we would pay rent, go in the red, and wonder how we were going to make payroll. And somehow, by the grace of God, would make payroll, you know. And I'm talking pay rent and payroll's due Thursday.
Wow.
And I don't know how we did it, you know, but maybe it's because we didn't take money from the business. We left it in. Who knows? But anyway, and so there were times I questioned, are we going to succeed? Mm-hmm. There was never a time I questioned if I'm in it or not, ever.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man. Never.
What was your vision like back then? Like, were you thinking about money you can make in the future? Were you thinking about material objects, travel, like what was keeping you going? Man,
I love the fact that you asked that, because I give you my word. I've never, ever in my life done anything for money, ever, never in my life. And so, and what I mean by that is even my business partners and I, we never sat down and said, hey, it's a great location. We're going to make, you know, X amount of gross revenue a year, which means we profit. Of course, we ran the numbers and did projections, but it was never for personal gain. It was just, hey, can we make this a profitable business, you know? And so I'm proud to say money was never a driver in that, or motivating factor, because I think you can get lost in that, you know, for better or worse.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, I'll tell you, there were times that money started coming in that for us was life-changing, okay, in a good way, and it's great. But we never got sideways. We never rested on our laurels and said, hey, that's enough, you know? And so, but there were also times money just stopped. COVID is a prime example. Mm-hmm. Money literally stopped. We were at the height of our career. And at the time, had 4 or 5 venues, you know, and we still had to pay rent. We still paid our upper management. And we didn't get paid for that entire year because we just couldn't, hey, man, we don't know if we're going to survive or not, you know? So anyway, but no, we were never driven by money. It was just, and I know your podcast has defined success. So our definition of success is doing something that our customers appreciate, that we feel fulfilled on a daily basis doing. That's successful to us. It's not our bank account. It's not the revenue we earn per month, meaning business-wise. It's none of that. Yeah. It's just we get to do this every day, and we're doing it our best, and that's successful to me. So,
that's amazing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's
man.
Rare to find people that are truly passionate about it, and like it brings joy hearing that from someone, because you know they're just in it for the enjoyment, and like that's their life.
Yes, sir. That is life. Yeah. You're right. But again, I want to make it clear, man, that's the only life we knew, you know? And so you get up, you go to work, you go to bed, you hit repeat. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, coming from the oil fields, that is literally the life. And so you mean you get to tell me I get to talk to pretty girls behind the bar and, you know, I see people literally dancing on the tables, having a great time.
Yeah.
And we're opening other businesses and we're getting some pretty good press. You mean I get paid to do this? Okay, let's go.
Yeah, come on.
And I genuinely love serving all those people I just listed. Let's go, man. Mm-hmm. So win for me. That's success to me.
Yeah, that's great. What skills did you acquire in your 20s and 30s to help you build success?
I'll tell you, not many. And so, you know, and this is another thing. And I said just the other day to a couple friends, but I wish I could tell you that I gained the skills of being a phenomenal businessman. I did not. I am not a good businessman. But the skill set that I think the 4 of us, meaning my business partners and me, possess inherently is an amazing work ethic. Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean amazing. And so, to me, just my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs much more successful than me are going to be like, this dude's an idiot, and shake their head. But I think hard work can outdo intellect and business acumen any day. Yep. I really do. I really do. And so, because, you know, you almost, when you're in it every day, insure against failure. Because, of course, you're going to get some of the wrenches thrown at you. But if you're in there at the daily grind and you can handle those wrenches and say, okay, stop, We're going to analyze this. We're going to figure it out. Even if it's just rolling up our sleeves and going to work and doing it, great, we're going to do that. And so the skill that not only I didn't learn it, but that we kept very much alive is roll up your sleeves and get it done, man. And so, and I think we honed that skill that, nah, man, yes, we're exhausted. We're still going to go to work. And I think it paid off.
Yeah. If you could go back and take a course, get a mentor, et cetera, are there any other skills that you see now as equally as valuable as hard work?
I wish I could I wish I could read the financials a little better. I mean, obviously I can read a P&L and all of that. But I've got to give credit to my business partner. I mentioned him, Jason Carrier, but he just continuously educated himself on that. And now the guy's thriving. He's got restaurants and more bars and everything. And he continues to grow. And I think him forcing himself to actually learn the business side of it. And I don't want to sound like a simpleton. I mean, we knew a little bit about the business side, but I see how perfecting that has helped him advance tenfold over us. And I couldn't be more proud of that. And so, sure, I should have sharpened that skill. You always look in hindsight of what I should have done. And so maybe that. But I'll still say it again. I'm really proud. I still think that work ethic trumps that. And so and that's something that'll never wane from me, so to speak.
Yeah. One important lesson that I've learned the past few years is like having the humility to outsource work to other people and combine skills together. So one thing you mentioned is like the four of you together, you all had a skill set that just meshed well.
Right.
Maybe you're better than Chad at something, vice versa.
Sure.
And you just work better together because you're not doing everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I always said to people, like, whether it's previous interviews or something, I think it just came from like the whole like group project in school. I would always say like, I don't trust people to get the work done.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're the one leading the pack and nobody's going to contribute. And I'm just like, well, if I want to do it right, I'm just going to do it myself. That can only take you so far.
You're right.
Right? Like if you have that mindset, like you might be great, but there's someone that's better than you at something. Even if they're a little bit worse, you need time freed up to go do this and they can do the other task.
Right.
And then you start building a team and all these skills come together that you can actually build something powerful.
Right.
That I think that's missing. Like that was just something I learned the past couple of years.
Yeah, man.
So I think that's an important lesson because most people, they just want to, this whole hustle culture now and like sit in your room and get work done and just grind. You need different minds and skills around you.
Man, well, therein lies the importance of letting go of ego.
Yeah.
You couldn't have said it better. And I look to my business partners and we had individual strengths, but we each had many more individual weaknesses that the others compensated for, right? And let me make this clear too, our upper management was comprised of absolute professionals, and meaning our director of operations, the owner-operators that operated some of the venues, especially in other cities and stuff like that, and they were phenomenal at their jobs too, and so again, it's looking to other people that are frankly much better than you. And, in the bar business, you have to stay young and relevant.
Yeah.
Well, we just said established, I'm 51. I am neither young nor relevant, not anymore, buddy. And so, and even checking your ego at the door, and I'm talking things as seemingly trivial as music that you play and lighting in the bars and I mean, anything, and so, meaning what are the young cool kids like, because I can't relate to that anymore. And so just like you said, finding people that can do it better and maybe compensate for your weaknesses, and all about a team, man. Yeah.
That's a good point about like staying trendy. Like, how did you manage to do that?
Well, again, I don't know if we did.
Okay.
But no, the one concept, actually I'm proud of all of our concepts. I want to answer this in a roundabout way.
Sure.
But the one concept I'm most proud of is the dogwood, and I know we recently sold them, but anyway, and the reason I bring that up, one, we named it, the dogwood was my grandmother's favorite tree, and my grandmother was a quintessential Southern woman, all about hospitality, and I say this, the dogwood was by far our most successful concept. Well, it's kind of middle of the road and catered to the masses. So there wasn't anything really trendy about it. And we did that by design, you know, and so we calculated that concept, not in a negative way, but just said we want a long shelf life. You know, we've had some dance clubs that were really cool, lasted all 2 years, you know. But still, even with the music and stuff like that, we would we would find ourselves walking in and our manager saying, "Hey man, we're gonna change the music. Whatever you guys are playing, it's oldies." I guess oldies is like Nirvana to them. I'm kidding, but just kind of true actually.
Yeah.
But anyway, and so but things like that, we tried to have concepts that were a little more middle of the road than right there, like in the present. That's the trend right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that served us well. But that's such a good question, and we fought with that. And frankly, that's one of the main reasons whenever we were approached to sell our company, we had a discussion amongst ourselves. It might be time. I mean, you know, we are knocking on the door. I mean, I was around, we sold it about a year ago. Anyway, yeah, we're knocking on the door of becoming irrelevant, and so let's just call it how we see it now.
Yeah. Take some profits.
Yes, sir. Yeah, let's go, man. Let's go. This old man needs to rest.
Yeah.
So
That's funny. One thing we talked about briefly before this was your current journey right now in life is you consider you're like, I'm unemployed. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. So, and like one thing I mentioned to you is like, this is a good message because people, especially my age group, like we're almost instructed to like find your career, find what you want to do for your life. And like, that's it until retirement. Like, you have to stick to it.
Sure.
So what's going on in your mind right now? What's going on in work life? Like, figuring it out, you know?
Yeah. And I see you laughing. I love that. And so, and thanks for letting everybody know I'm unemployed. No,
Brad, you got a lot of success. You're not just living on the street.
Well, you never know, man. You never know. No, you know, and you're so right, especially in your 20s. You have whatever end game in mind that you have, right? I think for the most of us, you set that goal, and what's the term? Visualization. You visualize reaching that end game, right? And whatever that may be. I mean, it may be a corporate guy that works for the same corporation for 40 years. It might be going to the oil fields and advancing, whatever. And it might be bars and you sell to some private equity company, whatever it is. So, and we had that goal. I mean, of course, we were wondering, hey, are we ever going to package up this thing and sell it to somebody like we've heard some of the bigger concepts do, or bigger companies do? And admittedly, when that did happen, and I'll repeat what I told you earlier, it's kind of like being in a real fun race for a long time. And you're in that race, and then you finally get to the finish line. And while you're in that race, you've been thinking, man, I want to finish this race. But the second that you finish and you're not sore anymore, right?
Yeah.
You look around like, man, I'm hungry for more. You know, I maybe I didn't want to finish this race after all. And that's the exact situation I'm in. It's both a great feeling and a bad feeling. One, I love to know that I still have the hunger of doing something. The bad feeling is, what is that going to be? I realized really quickly that my identity was, and still is, tied to being some type of a businessman that is doing some pretty good things in the chosen business or industry, right? Well, right now, I question, and this is getting deep, but I'm just going to tell you, but I kind of question my self-worth. That's my issue. That's my problem, right? And so I analyze, because I'm enjoying some downtime, Matt, and maybe a little too much, you know?
You're getting too strong.
Well, no, it's just, I just find fulfillment in hard work, right? And so anyway, right now at this very moment sitting with you, yes, I'm beginning to question, okay, man, are you the man that you say you are? Are you the man that you lead or live your life like you say you are? And that's a tough question to have to answer. And by that I mean, if I'm not working, we already said I don't care about money.
Yeah.
If I'm not working, I'm not fulfilled, right? I'm not doing what I think I'm put on this earth to do. And so I'm looking right now. So I loved finishing that proverbial race. Okay, but I'm ready to run again, man. And so and I'm looking and I'm hungry. And so, but yeah, upstairs it can get a little iffy. And you know, hey man, let's go. Let's go. Question your self-worth. It's not a good feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, I see a connection between this and you talking about relationships, about being yourself and staying true to what you really want. Because like you could just pack it up and say, you know what, I'm done. I'm just gonna, you know, work out, hang out, and like life is good, right?
Yeah.
But instead, you're like, I want to get back in the playing field.
Absolutely.
I want to work. I want to provide value to people. Like that's who you truly want to be. And like that conversation you have with yourself right now of like, are you who you say you are? Like it would get much worse if you were like, I'm calling it a day, you know?
Man, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying like now, like you actually saying like, I want to get back in, like that speaks volumes.
I appreciate that. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to admit something all day because you are spot on. You don't know how right you are. When we first sold, when I knew it was coming, and I'll just tell you, when we got the check and money's deposit, all that, I found myself, and I'm calling myself out, I found myself looking at the quintessential cabin in Colorado.
Yeah.
I was going to retire on some acreage. That was it for me, Matt. And again, I'm saying this sarcastically. I'm saying, like, who is this dude? And, I mean, I was planning it, man. I was looking, and I was going to hang it up. And I was planning on hiking and running every day, finding a local gym, and becoming nothing but a meathead. But no, I'm kidding. But kind of. But anyway, again, I'll make it quick. And that was about 2 weeks until I realized, one, I really don't have the money to do that, frankly. But two, and much more importantly, this isn't you, man. I mean, this isn't you. And sure, enjoy life, absolutely. But what, you're 50? And you're going to retire? Come on. No, that's not you. That's not you. You've got other people, my nieces, my nephew. They're looking at us, and I hope they respect our grind. And they would not respect if I'm fishing and hiking and running and no matter what the payout was. You know what I mean? It's, I need to live a fulfilling life. And so, anyway, I had to put myself in check.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, well, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
It relates so much to something you recently posted, this audio that you're speaking, saying like, I'm just terrified of being comfortable.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, like, and that's like, that would be the definition of comfortable. Like, you're living life and like, it's earned.
Yeah.
But, you know, to what you want and what your vision is I want to keep going. I'm not going to stay too comfortable and just, you know, hang out and retire in the mountains. Like, I want to keep working.
Absolutely. And you know, I'm glad you're referring to the social media stuff because, one, that's so far out of my comfort zone, that whole thing, but we're getting it. I mean, it's been fun. But that's a very true statement about being terrified of being comfortable in any facet of life, you know? And so I don't want to be the guy that looks around and is taking daily life for granted. I don't. And I think being really uncomfortable prevents that from taking anything for granted, you know? And so I want to keep grinding, man.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it.
Do you have anything on the horizon, like anything new you want to step into? Where do you see yourself in the near future?
Yeah, well, in Colorado. I'm kidding. No, I couldn't
Pull
help
the trigger.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's go. No, I would be honored to jump into business with my brother again. Maybe Jason, maybe Wes. Well, my little brother started his own real estate brokers. He's just killing it, and so he's got his own thing and won't let me be a part of it, rightfully so. But anyway, so Chad and I kind of casually tossed that around. But the thing is, I'll tell you this right now, I'm not going to do a single thing if I don't truly love it. And I mean love it.
Yeah.
And so health and wellness, I absolutely love. Hospitality, I absolutely love. And so it'll probably be within one of those two industries, so to speak, you know. And you know, again, I just need to find the right opportunity. And I'm actively searching now. And so, and it's an exciting time. But I feel like I'm in my 20s starting over, and which is fun because it's scary, and to me, fear is a huge motivator, you know, huge. So yeah, I'm excited.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's encouraging to just hear people say like, it's okay to start over.
Of course.
Do something new. You
know?
Like,
of course.
And that's something like people you want to look up to and be around. If people are just like want to continue to grow and evolve, it's not just like sitting in the same chair for 30, 40, 50 years and
Yeah, man.
calling it a career there.
Well, Matt, I'll tell you, that's what I like about Collective. And this isn't a plug for you guys, but, and I mean, it's going to sound like it, but, you know, your member base, the founders, the leadership, the employees and everybody, all of you guys have a lot going on, you know? And so, frankly, that's one of the reasons I like kind of being around this community, is, you know, I look around and see people just, I mean, at the very, 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 very top of their game, respectively. And so you almost can't slow down, you know what I mean? And so you're right. You say it's impressive. I think I might be paraphrasing, maybe giving myself more credit. But I find you guys to be impressive tenfold. You know, I really do. And because you guys are the young ones doing this thing. And so that's why when I step through the door, I'm paying attention, man. Yeah. And you kind of can't help it. And you guys have built this community, again, free plug or not, but have built this community of doers. And I like that, man. And so that's why I spend so much time in the gym, is not only to better myself, but be around people that want to make me a better human being.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, the question that I really want to hear from you and the audience does as well is, how do you define success?
I think I would define success by, if you're doing something you really love and you feel fulfilled at the end of the day, to me, that's an absolute win. You are successful. You know, I felt so successful. Our very first bar, I just said, we didn't even pay ourselves. We were essentially living tips to tips to tips, wasn't even a paycheck. By all definitions, people would look at us and say, your bank account is nothing, you're not a success. I felt larger than life, Matt. I felt so successful. We had conceptualized a business. We started it on our own. We taught ourselves city codes and all of it, you know, just the things that you don't think about. We were licensed with a liquor license, which is kind of difficult, you know. Anyway, we went through all that red tape all alone as stupid, naive kids, right? That's successful to me, man. And so if you're doing something you love and feel fulfilled, I would look at anybody and think you're a success.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. And I truly mean that.
Yeah,
man.
I love that. Great definition.
Thank you.
Going to put you on the spot here.
Okay, here we go.
I prepared you a little bit for it.
I know.
What is something you believe in that most people disagree with?
So, you know, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
What do I believe in that most people disagree with? So the only thing that comes to mind, really, and man, I wish I could get deep with you, you know, but earlier I said I'm not an intellectual, right? But so this is the bar guy talking. No, you know, I firmly believe that, well, again, you have to sacrifice a lot of the things that you know and love to get to where you're going. And look, man, people are going to roll their eyes and say, well, that's the most cliche statement ever. But when you really think about it, people aren't willing to sacrifice relationships with their loved ones, relationships with their life partners, other business relationships, whatever, relationships within themselves. And you might not like the person that you are when you're putting things by the wayside just to reach a goal, you know? And so people might not agree that the ultimate sacrifice is absolute, not solitude, but just like, hey, you put your blinders on and nothing else matters. Because a lot of people say, no, you need to find balance. I don't necessarily believe in balance. And I've been criticized for that. Almost being called a robot, you know, and by an ex-girlfriend. True story.
Gotta take it with a grain of salt.
That's a true story. And so, but I almost take that as a compliment. And so a lot of people might not believe in that or agree with that. But me personally, I don't mind sacrificing everything to get what you want.
I love that. I think you're absolutely right.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, people think of, you know, balance is a necessity. You need to be equal in all different categories in life, but that's never going to be the case.
No.
And like the way I see it is like we are very unbalanced people in different seasons of our life.
Of course.
Like,
great point.
When you were working the bars, like you were extremely unbalanced because that was your priority.
Sure.
Right now, there's a different balance. You know, there's a different imbalance of I'm going to focus on this.
Sure.
20 years ago, much different. You know, it just,
Yes,
it
sir.
always changes. So I think like in the totality of life, you might look and be like, oh, this person has a balanced life because they started this business, they had a family, they did this, that, and the other. Like it all just balances out. But if you look decade by decade, it's extremely unbalanced, and that's okay.
Man, it's such a good point. And one more thing that I'll add to that is I can't tell you, I literally can't count how many times loved ones have said, and strangers have said, man, you got to live life. You got to live life. I'm living life, man. I'm just living my life.
Yeah.
I'm living the life that I want to live. And so that doesn't necessarily mean being surrounded by anybody. This is the life I'm living. And if it's a life of solitude with a goal in mind, I'm going to live it.
Yeah.
And so maybe, again, that's what I mean about people might not agree with that, but I think you need to put some blinders on at certain points in your life and not let any outside noise or chatter interfere. Yeah, man.
It takes a lot of confidence.
Well, yes, it does. Well, I'll tell you what. When, buddy, it does, and when there's no other option, you have no choice, man. I mean, it was that or, you know, right back to the oil fields, which wouldn't have been a bad thing, but confidence is one thing, but fear, again, what I mentioned earlier, is even bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm reminded by a clip that Goggins posted. I think it was around like Thanksgiving last year, and he's like, all right, going back to see the families. Like every time I see them, like, oh, you doing your pull-ups again? You running again? He's like, yeah, motherfucker, I am.
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect?
Exactly.
You know, like
exactly.
It's like the contrarians in our society.
Yes.
Like they get all this backlash of like, you're a robot, you don't have balance,
Sure.
you're going off the rails. But that's just what life is to them. Matt, that's all they know.
You know, a lot of times, unfortunately, when people take digs on you, they're looking at their inner selves, and they might be, for whatever reason, insecure about what they're not doing, you know? And so all of that I just don't listen to. I mean, I try to acknowledge this person might be going through a hard time and empathize with that. But when I hear, hey, man, try to find balance from somebody that on the other side of their mouth has talked to me about struggling just to get motivated, man, I mean, come on. I choose to stay the course.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. For you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My last question for you is for someone listening to this that they want to be successful.
Yes.
They don't know how to get there. What is one piece of advice you leave them with?
Can I give two?
Absolutely.
Work hard and sacrifice.
Okay.
Work hard and sacrifice. And you know, it's so easy. It's so easy. And whether you're studying for your master's, work hard and sacrifice. Whether you're in the oil fields, Jesus, I can't speak, man. Work hard and sacrifice, whatever it is. And I can almost guarantee that if you do those two things on a daily, consistent basis, something's going to pan out. But if you want to take the easy road and get to it when you can, get to the task when you can, or I want to go to brunch instead of doing whatever it is you're supposed to do that morning, it's going to be a really difficult road. Just work hard and sacrifice.
I love that.
Yeah, man.
Amazing. Well, if you guys made it this far, I would appreciate if you share with someone, because 86% of podcast growth is still word of mouth. So everybody needs to hear Brad's story. So share with someone that you think would enjoy it. But Brad, absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for being authentic, answering all the questions, and just providing a ton of value for the listeners here.
Thank you, man. It's truly an honor. Thanks, Matt.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.